All right, guys, how you doing out there? Another Watts Weekly. Here we are, and got a kind of an interesting one today. One that we haven't done in a long time because it's not very often that we do this, which is to bring on a new teacher at Watts Atelier. So I've got two young guys that have been with me for a while now that will be coming on and teaching this next term. We've got Travis here with me, Travis Wilson, and he's been with us now, I think, going on about 5 years.
This will be going into my fourth year.
Yeah, fourth year. So usually what we do at the Atelier, and one of the things that I've found over the years that has made it such a great Atelier and a really strong foundational Atelier is that we all have come up through the actual Atelier, with the exception of myself, actually. I went through my school. And one of the things that I always thought would be interesting but difficult would be to cultivate your own instructors over time. But I remember when I first started, this was a very difficult thing to accomplish because it would take about 3 to 5 years to get someone proficient enough to basically be able to be at the skill level that they could actually do even the fundamentals at our atelier. And then it would take them a couple more years. Usually it would be about a year of coach teaching. We don't do it quite as long as we used to because people have come in now with experience of being online. So they already, by the time they get here, like Travis already had a couple years of online training before he got here. So although he's been in the in-person for 4 years, he's kind of also had, say, another year maybe of training on the online. So usually I look at about the 5 year area, I start to consider people for teaching. And then it really requires a certain personality type. What I look for is not only exceptional skills, but a love of the craft, and also someone that can contribute and give back to the atelier and make it a better, stronger school. So that's kind of been my game plan for as long as I can remember, last 30 years. And it's worked extremely well. And a lot of them, the teachers here are probably 15 plus years. Eric's the most senior, and he's going on, I think, 25 years. And we are celebrating 30 years. So he might even be at 26 years or something. He came in pretty early. So it really is an honor to get to teach at the Atelier because it is, I think, one of the stronger ateliers out there. And the way that we keep it that way is by keeping continuity and consistency in the teaching staff so that when people come in, they have a nice fluid growth pattern from the very fundamental classes up to the more advanced classes, and that you have these layering of newer teachers that are being supported by the more senior teachers, and you have a really healthy dynamic that can occur between instructor, student, and just the overall relationship and the overall kind of flavor of the community that Watts has a tendency to cultivate. And that's one of the things I'm most passionate about preserving, and the thing I think I enjoy watching the most is just these, you don't know who's going to be teaching. You kind of have a sense that, we've had people in the past that have come up through the ranks, which I really would have loved to have taught at our atelier, but at the time there was no room for a new teacher because we were pretty intimate, pretty small school. So it really is timing as well. And when Travis came on to the scene, and he'll talk more about this in a minute, I'll turn it over to him here in a moment, and he can tell you a little bit about his backstory, his experience at the atelier, and what he would like to maybe contribute to the atelier as a teacher. But I'm always looking for those rare people that are just exemplify, again, that love of the craft, love of what we do, and want to really pull everyone up together because it really is a community effort. When you come to the atelier, you're going to find that it's like a big family, and it's really everybody covering everybody's back and helping bring people up, and we all are going to be fighting the same fight. We're all going to be stuck in our studios, long hours, executing work, fairly lonely, fairly introverted type work. So when you come out to teach or you come out to give back in that way, it's kind of a way for you also to if you're an extroverted type or extroverted type personality. I'm kind of a ambivert. I'm like an introvert sometimes and extroverted also. And so I like the teaching from the standpoint of being able to really get involved with people's lives, get them better. And it really feels good from like a really, I wouldn't say altruistic, but it does have that sense of service, right? That you want to give back, that you want to make the world a better place. You want to bring art into the world, beauty into the world, and you want to help cultivate that in other people, not just yourself. So anyway, on that, I'm going to turn it over to Travis here, and he's going to introduce you a little bit as to some of his background and what he hopes to bring to the atelier here in the near future. So, Trav,
Yeah.
it's your turn now.
Yeah. So just a little bit about my backstory and stuff. Coming to the school, I originally found out about the school from YouTube, looking at some of Stan's stuff. It's like how to draw a nose, how to draw an eye, that kind of thing. And you start drawing it and you kind of do it and you're like, oh wow, I can actually kind of do this when you start to learn this stuff. And there were some other students at the time that on YouTube were making some other videos and uploading them, and I just saw them drawing on these big pads with these weird pencils, and I was like, whoa, what is that? It seems super cool. And everybody was drawing really well. And then I heard just from multiple places like that, all mentioned this place, Watts Atelier. I was like, gotta check that out. So I searched you guys up and found all the Friday Night Lives and some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And from there, it didn't take much to get me into the online program and start doing some of that stuff. And so when I found out about some of that, it was a while ago. It was like 2015 probably, and I was just about 18 then. And I remember I found out about it and I started obsessively drawing like cubes and boxes and all that kind of stuff, right?
Awesome.
And then, so that was like right when I was getting started, and then I did that for like a month and I totally burnt myself out. And I didn't pick it up again for like a year and a half or 2 years after that, actually.
I didn't know that about. I didn't know that.
Because, and I have been involved with music and stuff. So back then I did that and I burnt myself out. I'm like, oh, this isn't fun anymore. No surprise there if I was only drawing cubes, because I just got really obsessed with like, trying to make them perfect and stuff before I move on to the next thing. And it just maybe wasn't the right approach 100%. So I went into music for a little bit, and then eventually found my way back to drawing and stuff. And I really hunkered down, really went through the online program and tried to get really serious about it. And that's kind of when I sort of consider myself really starting. I was about maybe 19 or 20. And then I did the online for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And then I ended up moving out. I sold all my stuff, sold my car, quit my job, and moved out here to come to the school. And now, 4 years later, pretty much here.
It's pretty
here
serendipitous, because it was funny at the time. I think I was asking, I was just kind of like in my own mind thinking, okay, the school is progressing on. It's getting very mature. How long is it going to last? How long do I want it to last? How long do I want to keep running the brick and mortar in-person type school classes, which is becoming rarer and rarer now that everybody's doing online stuff, because it's so much easier to not have to have the overhead, build out a place,
totally.
All the things that happen with a brick and mortar school of this sort. So I remember you saying something to me, because it was funny. You were here and you had a certain personality type that I thought was really cool. You were very forward thinking. You were very much always helping around the school, offering to help. That's one thing I always look for with a teacher, is someone that's extremely giving. Someone that really wants to, just has a nature in their nature to actually give back. And not for, like, what can I get out of this, but just that's their nature. Their nature is, if something, I'm around and so-and-so needs help and the teacher looks busy, I used to always do that. I'd sit down and I'd say, and making sure that I didn't step on Glenn's feet or anybody like that, but I would just help some of the newer students just because I could see him struggling, and I could see Glenn was killing himself trying to get around everybody. Knew he wasn't going to be able to hit everybody. So I would just, take some time. If I was further along in my drawing, I would, ask somebody if they wanted a little hand, or, hey, can I give you, some assistance if you want? And they usually would take me up on it. And I think that's when that school started kind of considering me for teaching, even though that wasn't even my modus operandi. It wasn't like I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do this and they're going to pick me, and, I didn't have all these motives, or I just was like, no, that's just a cool thing to do. And that's just the kind of person I was. So I think that's one thing I noticed in you early on at the school, was how much you just helped other people, how giving you were, and just you just had a great attitude and personality and energy about enthusiasm about what the school community meant to you. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool that he likes it that much. That's really
Yeah,
cool
I
that he
appreciate
enjoys that much. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember before I was coming out, because it's something that my dad kind of taught me. My mom and dad is, just trying to help out places, and if you're really interested in something, like I mentioned music a while ago. So when I was around the same age, 18 or so, when I was kind of just trying to find my path a little bit, there was a luthier shop over a few blocks away from our house down in one of the towns that we lived in. Luthier is like a guitar maker, right? Do all the woodworking by hand and everything like that. He's like, you should go over there and ask him if you could sweep up the shop and, just anything like that and see. And so he kind of instilled some of those ideas in all of us, me and all my siblings, when we were a little bit younger. And I remember telling him when I developed this whole plan to come out to the school and do all this stuff, and I was super obsessed with it and just excited. I told him, I was like, I'm going to go out down there and just ask if I can, anything. I'll do anything. Yeah. And I remember my dad, I was kind of surprised because he's like, yeah, man, good luck. I'm sure they got everybody asking to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And come to find out that it's actually kind of a rare thing sometimes
it
to
was
see
funny.
people do
Yeah,
that.
it always surprises me because I don't know if it's a generational thing or something. I have no idea, but it was refreshing to have somebody say, hey, I'll take some trash out, or I'll do this or that, because I was doing it.
Yeah.
And I was the owner, and I've been doing it for 25 years. And I'm still taking the trash out.
25 years, yeah.
I'm still cleaning the toilets. I'm still doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. It's like, it's one of those things being an owner. And I think that I remember one of the first things I asked you to do was actually paint our deck on my studio.
Out in the sunshine.
Yeah.
Painting.
We were out, and that's how I actually did that for Mark Westemo. And some guys, I stained his deck. And I remember when I was towards the end of my training there and I was having a hard time staying in school, he was really nice, and a number of other people really saw my potential. So they were like, hey, man, if you need to, I can pay you to do this. They just really put a hand out.
Yeah.
And I've always remembered that, and I've always tried to play that forward in my life is, just helping young people out that are very capable but are having a hard time getting things going. Because in your early 20s is one of the best periods and one of the most difficult periods, because to get any traction, no matter how gifted you are, it requires that somebody sees that in you and gives you an opportunity. Yeah. And I was always given some really great opportunities because I was such a forward thinker, and I was always taking so much initiative that people would recognize that. And I didn't even think they would recognize it, because you don't realize that people are kind of watching and saying, hey, that, And so it would just organically play out like that. So I'm really happy that you put yourself forward like that. Because I remember when you first asked me, I was like, oh, here's another. Because I would try people out in the janitorial. And they would just flame out like in a week or two. They would just be like, forget it. And then the place would look dirtier than it was when I had them actually doing it. And I'm like, well, that didn't work. But what they didn't realize is I was kind of testing them to see if they were humble enough, and they were also willing to do the work that really wasn't glamorous, because so much of art requires, it's not glamorous, right? It's just pick and shovel, and it's that daily grind and the monthly grind and the yearly grind. I don't mean to make it sound so, so difficult, but it is. I mean, it's challenging. So if you can't even just pull yourself up to do some stuff that way, then how are you going to do all the other stuff that you need to do?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of just hammering it out. You say that, and I've kind of taken on that slogan a little bit, because that's what you got to do, really, to do anything. It's just, man, you got it. Yeah, just as I've gotten further into it, you start to understand as you get into year 4, year 5, year 6 probably, and then just on from that, man, this is just a grind. But you just got to keep it up, and just got to have a good attitude and try to keep going. And it's really fun and really, really rewarding. But it's something that I've kind of just learned a little bit more about the process as you get a little further into it.
Well, what is it, like when I did, obviously we've been working towards this. We went through a pandemic together. You kind of helped share the school up in other ways. And I was really impressed with your, again, your willingness to step forward and your ability. And so those are always kind of, again, the skills that I'm looking for in teachers is outside the box thinking, forward thinking, consistency, loyalty. And because, when you're trying to build a unit, it's a team effort, right? Yeah. And if everybody's jumping ship every 2 seconds, it's really difficult to get any traction. And that's one thing I see, all too often. I think, is that. But and there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that. But it's just it's if you're trying to build something, it really is important that you have team players where everybody understands that they're part of a bigger picture, and they're trying to contribute to that bigger picture and make it a stronger one. And so, what would you think coming in? Because I know I've picked you for many different reasons, like we've talked about. What would you like to contribute in as a teacher at Watts? What do you think how would you like to tell everyone about what you would like to bring to the table?
Yeah. I just think sometimes, especially for new people coming into the school with all the wall hangers and everybody's really good and the teachers are insane, and I'm low on the totem block for teachers coming just in, and it's so humbling to just be in the same space and working towards the same path and the same stuff that you guys have. And I think as much as I can do to just help people just come to the school, give them a good introduction, show them some of the basics, help get their gears rolling a little bit. Something that I always liked doing, and there's certain aspects of it that I don't do as much anymore, like really intense scheduling out. Like this day I'm going to do lay-ins, and then the next day I'm going to do, you really strict schedule out everything.
Yeah.
I used to do that for like the first couple of years, and I think we can maybe overlay some of those and stuff, but they're really funny to look at it, because go in and outline all your goals. What's your goal for the term? What are you trying to learn? What kind of anatomy, or what's your focus? And then every day of every week, for when they were 10-week classes, break down exactly what it's going to be on the days that I'd be in school, what I'd be doing on the days outside of school. And I remember having a little bit of trouble getting the gears turning with that process when I was first getting started, because there's so much to learn, and it's hard to pick stuff, and you always feel like you're missing out all the time. So I think if there's a few things that I could help people out with as far as teaching goes, that would certainly be one of them, is just helping you get your footing to understand how to put together a good schedule, how to follow a good training regimen, what your free time should look like, and how you should be using it efficiently. And even other things too. Like I remember one time when I was in class with Eric, and I was so angry at myself, and I was having trouble focusing, and it wasn't good in anything. I wasn't doing good. And I asked Eric, I'm like, I just can't focus right now. Like, what's going on? And I remember Eric told me, he's like, well, are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting exercise? And are you eating healthy? And I said no to every one of those questions. So it's just stuff like that too. It's like obvious stuff. It's like, dude, I can't focus, but I was playing games till 4 a.m. or something like that. It's like, well, you're going to have to.
Yeah, it's a reprioritization.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful that you want to bring that in, because that's something you've heard me countless times talk about: patience, perseverance, persistence, setting up scheduling. It sounds so trivial, and it sounds so much like, oh, really? I've got to do that? And it's like, yeah, you kind of do.
Yeah.
Because I still have young guys in here and all, and they were contenders, some of them, but their work they'd roll in after again playing video games all night, and just there was a certain lack of discipline that was just not going to be conducive to, number one, teaching or this or that, or even just maybe ultimately succeeding, because you could be really talented, but if you can't meet deadlines and hit, and it starts with the deadlines of your studying, right? Because you have study deadlines, you have all these different things. So I'm really happy to hear that's, and I knew that a little bit about you, that you were really structured like that. And again, it is something that you don't have to do forever. Mm-hmm. Over time, it gets kind of ingrained in you, and then you can kind of loosen up on it. And then when you get a little bit lax, you can tighten up a little bit, but you know how to do that. So I'm a big fan of that, obviously, because I do see so many people that really should have made it, could have made it, but they flame out at some point, or the discipline thing kind of. So, as all new students that are teachers that come in, what used to happen, I would build, like when I first started, it was only me, and people didn't even know if they could get good. So once I got someone good, I just had to take whoever was good, personality-wise or not. Yeah. I mean, it was just like, okay, this guy's good enough. I'm gonna. And that was kind of wild. Those were wild days,
not
man.
The best position.
Yeah, I had some wild teachers in the beginning, but then I would leapfrog up to the next tier, and that person would teach the tier that I had left behind. And so on and so forth, until the school got built over a 10, 15, 20-year period, while you were building literally a curriculum from scratch. And so you're coming in and probably going to be obviously doing things like head drawing fundamentals, figure drawing fundamentals,
baby.
quick sketch fundamentals, and then 20-minute lay-ins. Then you'll get into figure drawing,
Yeah.
and you'll go on from there. And ultimately, probably if you do it long enough, you'll head into painting and illustration and other things. And so the cool thing about this organic process is you really do feel like a lot of times people come in and say, okay, I'm coming to Watts Atelier. I want to study with Jeff. I want to study with Eric, the most senior guys. And I'm like, that is a mistake. I mean, not a mistake from the standpoint that we can't teach you an incredible amount, but I have to go back 40 years to be in your shoes. Travis has to go back 4 years, maybe 5. So who do you think is going to be better at maybe adapting to that person's sensitivities towards their challenges? It's obviously going to be probably the guy that's 4 years into the process, not the person that's 40 years in. So when I teach, I run the gamut from ridiculously advanced to I can tone it down to fundamental. But I always say the coolest thing about a new teacher is their enthusiasm is extremely high. The older guys are a little burnt, right? They've done it for so long that they're just like, they could do it in their sleep, but they're going to be a little burnt out. I mean, it just is what it is. So I always say if you can get one of the newer teachers that's on the upswing and really wanting to prove themselves and really wanting to go over and above, because that's what is required to make your way at the school, you're going to get an incredibly compassionate, strong, intense teaching from that person. And so I always encourage people when they do come to the school, I used to always say, take with Brian, take with Matt, take with because those guys, it's not something where it's like, oh, they're not that. I mean, if you get to teach at the school, you're exceptional on many different levels. And like I said, there were many exceptional people that I would have loved to have had as teachers, but the timing just was not right, and that was unfortunate. But you happen to be in the right place at the right time, so you're stepping into this. So I'm really, really so excited to see how it works for you. I know it's going to be a wonderful experience, both for you and the students. The whole point of teaching the way that we do teach at the Atelier is that you improve as much as they do. So it encourages the teacher to come in and push themselves. Like next term, I'm going to be painting a full illustration. I could easily taught the class without having to do that, but it's me getting better. It's me forcing myself to hit a deadline. It's me showing the students that I'm going to be in it with them. Yeah. It's me leading by example, and that's where you get the real respect and the real, I think, cohesiveness with a school like this is that everybody's in it together, and the teachers are no different. They're just at a way longer trajectory down the path than you are, but it's right there for you to follow, and it's going to be cool to see how you adapt to that.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's one of the things that definitely attracted me to the school right when, from the beginning is, dude, you show it, man. It's you
gotta walk the talk. You gotta walk the talk.
It's kind of a rare thing, especially now being in the position that I am a little bit later on, where I work for the school too, doing a lot of people probably know that, but just doing a lot of the tech stuff and answering people's questions and things like that. And they're talking about their old professors and stuff. I'm like, damn, dude, that sounds rough. So I'm just really thankful that I kind of stumbled upon this place, because not everybody does. And then you end up, dragging out the process of becoming proficient longer than it needs to be.
And the hard thing is, you really people don't realize there's a window that where you have the time and resources and energy with which to put into your training. And if you miss that window, it gets progressively more difficult as you have kids, as you buy houses, as you start careers. Because now you got to double dip, and you got to be like, okay, I've got a career that supports my family, and I got to work twice as hard on the side. Where are you going to find that time? I mean, not that it's not doable. So those of you out there that are in that position, I have seen people do it. Yeah. It just means you got to be even more on your A game. You got to double down, and you got even to be more structured because your time is less, right? So it's I think it's a fascinating paradigm that everybody's in, and again, thanks for pointing that out, because I mean, again, it's just, to me, we've done it for so long that way, and my teachers did it for me that way, and now you're going to do it for your students that way, and it's just it's how the whole thing. I think it would be like good parenting, where it's like, if you parent properly, then your kids turn out pretty good. If you don't, wow, it can be pretty wild. Or if they're not willing to, so it's
if you're not going to lead by example, then how do the people know where to go?
Yeah, or how would they respect you?
Yeah, that too.
It's so hypocritical,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and that's what I always wondered about with a lot of the schools, and that really baffled me is that the teachers never really showed any of their work. They didn't work professionally. They didn't show their work. So how are you supposed to take this person on face value? You just like, I'm going to pay for a class and I have no idea what this person even can do. They don't demonstrate. They don't help me. They don't show their work.
Yeah.
I could be, the guy might not know how to draw at all. Probably doesn't. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I think it's definitely a harder way to teach, and it's not for everybody. And that's why I always tell people that if you're going to teach, make sure it comes from a really deep place in wanting to give back. It's an act of service. It really is. It really is.
And that's kind of the cool thing about it is the ability to give back some, because man, dude, come in here and everybody's just, all you guys are, you just give so much. And to be able to be in a position now where I can give back a little bit is really kind of cool, because dude, I remember sitting over there right across on that bench, and you were sitting with me at 10:30 at night. I don't know if you remember, but
I don't remember.
And I was just like,
I've done it many times.
I'm only able to, because I was working full time at Starbucks and everything, having to wake up like 3:30 in the morning, and I was just wigging out a little bit. I was like, I'm only able to draw like 20 hours a week. Is that enough? And then I remember when you said like, oh gosh, you're like, this conversation again. And then, but you sat there with me, you took me through the whole conversation, and it was so just genuine and cool. And I remember you said, I remember right in the beginning having a conversation with Meadow and Eric and all them just like this.
Every one of them.
And,
it's so true.
It's
and
just,
here you are.
Funny,
So
it's funny to think back on that.
It is, and it's funny because I remember having those conversations with every one of my
Yeah.
instructors where they were on the fence with, do I go take this more conservative job?
Yeah.
And I manage Starbucks or I manage a Trader Joe's and I make my 40, 50 grand a year or whatever. It's very straightforward, not very difficult for me. Or do I go this path that's unknown and really have to work way harder? And so it really is a question all of you will have to answer or ask yourself is, do I want to work that hard? And do I have enough juice and love of this craft to put forth that kind of effort? And it's really quite a simple question, but it does, if you catch somebody on the wrong time, of course you're going to say no.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard. You're going to say, no. Or you're going to go through periods of burnout, and can you still try to make it through that? So, but yeah, I think when we look at all the instructors that are on the walls or all the drawings that are on the walls, the wall hangers, it's really fascinating to see, like all the instructors are up there. All of them, that was my goal when I was in school, was get wall hangers.
Yeah.
But none of those people, none of them, including Eric and Meadow and Lucas, could draw really at all when they came in or paint. And a lot of people don't realize that. They don't know that,
And something else funny that we'll share with people is back on my Instagram page, I started posting my stuff from the very beginning. And I had a little bit of skill because I'd done the online maybe for a couple months before I did it. But there's some of those drawings are rough, man. And it's really cool, at least in my opinion. I always love sharing it with people. All those drawings from all the way back in the very beginning when I first started, pretty much, because I was drawing like some anime and manga stuff. Because
you're a big fan of that.
Just this kind of stylized stuff is really cool to me. And then starting to draw like skulls and the sorrow heads and things like that, and they were rocky. And so I love sharing that with people. I know some people don't really like sharing some of their bad drawings.
I think this idea that it's everybody. And that's another thing I love about you is just your willingness to share your journey. Stan was very much like that, Pocopinko, when he was in school for so long with us. And when he broke, kind of went off to do his thing, he would always show his progression. He would always show where he came from. And I always thought that was really stand-up of him. And that was another reason why, I really enjoyed having him as a teacher, because he was really forward-thinking, outside the box, and was able to be very willing to share his process or his journey. And I think I see that in you as well, where it's like, hey man, these are I would be showing but I got rid of them all. Because I never knew I was going to be teaching to this capacity, right? So as you're working through, you have just stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of efforts. And as you move like to a new apartment or you move somewhere you don't have as much space, you just get rid of everything, right? You're like, I sucked, I was bad. But I remember, I started the same way, and it was funny. I remember calling my dad and telling him in quick sketch class, and he'll validate that I was the worst in the class. I remember saying, I came home from my first night and I was dumbfounded because I thought it was pretty good, and I was like, I am the worst person in class.
I remember seeing some of your old well, from I don't know if we'll be able to find it. It might be kind of funny, but you had just like some drawings of football players and stuff like that when you were a little kid.
Oh yeah,
really cool.
yeah,
But in high school you did like this Rockwell study. That was actually
no,
for
I
like
did.
a 16-year-old
No, that's what I'm
kid or
saying.
whatever.
That's why I felt like I was pretty
Yeah.
good because I understood methods before I understood how to like what was life drawing, what was real drawing, right? Because you think that because you can copy a Rockwell or you can copy a drawing that you know how to draw.
Yeah.
And then we realize it's a thought process. It's thinking outside the box. It's manipulating. It's changing. It's designing on the fly. And when you're in 2 minutes, you have 2 minutes to do a figure. 30. Oh my gosh! It's like there's nothing more hair raising than that technique. And that was the first thing at school that really concretized made me want to learn that method.
Yeah.
And really get it down was quick sketch. And I was
so
like,
good.
yeah. And now I became one of, I think I think I'm probably one of the better people at it, but
Yeah,
I did not. But that's what I'm saying.
humble.
I started as one of the worst, right? So I
your
can
quick
literally
sketches,
say that
yeah.
if you have enough love of it and you have enough drive to do it, you can. The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
But you do have to find that big enough why, and it can be weird because I still teach quick sketch after I've taught it 110 times, and I don't burn out on it. I just go, it's still as fun as it's ever been. It's still as challenging and it's still as humbling. Because the minute I don't train in it, I get rusty, just like anybody else. So, but anyway, I guess in closing, I just want to say, how excited I am to have you on board, and that we'll probably look back on this interview, I don't know, 10 years from now, maybe,
probably,
and have a good laugh over a beer or something.
So. Yeah.
And just for me, it's just it's what I love so much about the Atelier is just that family. It's a family, and once you're part of the Watts family, you're always part of the Watts family. I mean, I have my prodigal sons. I have my people that have left, but that's just the history of a 30-year business.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're not going to have that kind of water under the bridge. And it's all good because it all makes you a better person, a better teacher. And I think for me, showing up now as a teacher it's difficult in different ways, right? Because I've been doing it for so long. So to be able to bring on a new teacher and see the energy and the enthusiasm that they had reminds me that I need to still bring that in myself, because it is easy to get jaded. It is easy to get cynical as an older teacher that's been doing it for so long. And I think the magic and the gift is, can you show up and drop all that baggage and be there for your students and not make it an ego thing where it's like, oh, look how good I am.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. No, you're here to get other people good. And that also goes to you students out there. Don't think you're waiting to get good to come to the school. That's not why you come to a school. You come to a school to get good, not get good first. Because you're not here to impress me or Eric, because we're already so good. It's not like we're looking for you to impress us. We're looking to be able to help you get good, and that's a very humbling thing. And it's an interaction between both the instructor and the student that is so special.
And just speaking to your, as you get older, and you get more into it, it remains hard to keep that level of enthusiasm and energy. Just got so much respect for you guys because every student, man, is just, you just love them. And
Yes.
It's so cool because after 30 years of that,
Having
that kind of patience,
it can be challenging.
it's very admirable and it's really
Thanks.
cool. And I hope that I can embody some of that at least, to develop that patience and love and understanding for people that I think you guys very obviously have. And it's just really cool.
Cool. Well, welcome on board, and let's. Those of you who are watching, if you want to come in and take with Trav, he's going to be on the roster now going forward, and just enjoy being part of the Watts family. I mean, we'd love to have you. I know it's a tough move to get out here for a lot of you, but I do think it'd be well worth it if you get a chance. If not, maybe we'll see you on the online. Trav's also going to be doing some critiquing on some of the streaming content. So, maybe a class taught by somebody else, but he'll be doing the actual crits. All of our teachers will start doing that, intermixing, because we all know all the information so well. But lot to look forward to. So thanks again for joining us for this Watts Weekly. I'll be talking to Evan next. He's another young guy that's here at the school. It's going to be coming up, has a lot of potential. And then we've got Ilana and a couple other newer teachers that are now co-teaching with me to prepare, and so we'll have interviews with them down the road as well. So thanks a bunch. Hope you guys are doing well, and keep pushing play, and keep bringing the joy and the love, and just have fun. It's a long road, so just the more you can fall in love with that process, the better, and the more you're going to get out of it. And I know it sounds always so cliche, it's the journey, not the destination, but it's so true. So just have fun, and I'll see you for another Watts Weekly soon. Take care, you guys. Cheers.